Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 528. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by the very entertained Jen Lassalle, women's fiction author, author coach, and one of the people behind the Author Sustainability Conference coming up in
Hello,
April
everybody.
2025. What's up, Jen?
I'm happy to be here. Wah, 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 wah. I'm gonna call back.
We're energy matchers,
We are. We
and
are definitely.
that makes this fun.
Yeah, I was tired 20 minutes ago, and now I have no idea why. I
I
should have.
know. Samesies.
You're my queen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So Jen, we were talking last week about how we finally get to hug each other in October at Self Publishing Live,
Yay!
among teaching authors about
Yeah,
mindset
it
and
was a sidebar,
goals
sure.
and processes. Yeah, holding a whole conference just to like see my
For
friends.
hugging.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why
It's
not?
like goat yoga. I mean, if you can do yoga with goats, you can hug authors.
That is, I am almost certain that is true, but I might need to fact check that. Sustainability obviously is something both of our conferences are focused on.
I am.
Jen, what do you think is like, we're going into second half of an election year. Oh my gosh. We know from past election years that sales might be down in the fall until after all the smoke clears. With that all in mind, like what do authors need to look for to keep themselves sustained during what can be a difficult time?
So a really difficult question that frequently I ask my students and they are unable to answer is, what non-monetary success markers can you use to evaluate? Or even non-measurable, like it does not have to be, oh, well, I didn't make royalties today, but I went up in rank, so I know people downloaded my book. Yeah, that's all well and good, but have you evaluated where you were last year and where you are today, and in what way can you see improvement, and different ways have you, what on your author bingo card, for lack of a better way of wording it, can you check off? That keep a copy of or screenshot of that rave review, or that email that someone sent you, or that random social media post on your Facebook ads that was like, oh my God, I love this series because I was a mermaid in a past life and you spoke directly to my tale. If that's the example.
This sounds like a personal situation.
That might be in my
It
folder.
was a little specific. Yeah, no, this is really similar to I work with one of Becca Syme's great coaches, Nikki, and she suggested that I put together, because I'm high significance in my Clifton Strengths, put together a significance folder. So I actually have on my phone a little album of significance, and it's not all success related. It's like I've got some kiddo pictures, wife pictures, like some of the big achievements of my life type pictures, and just like, the things that make me feel good as a husband and a father, not just about the cold hard cash. And that has been really helpful to me in moments when, hey, the cold hard cash hasn't been there.
Yeah, I love that. I'm high positivity. And so sometimes I have to put myself in a little positivity bubble and stay away from things like, comments on social media that might take a dent out of my positivity.
Yeah. When as you know, I am also high positivity,
I
so I
do.
need to do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, great advice there, Jen, on dealing with 2024. Oh my gosh. So go to the Author Sustainability Conference in April if you can go to Dublin, which I love Dublin. I'm sure that that's part of the appeal, but also just getting more tips like this to sustain your author career for the long haul.
It's a lot of fun to be around people who understand and want to be there with you.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And then, of course, October, Self-Publishing Live, selfpublishinglive.com. I think there's only 10 tickets left, so.
Oh my gosh.
So come.
Yeah.
Snatch them up.
Do it. Yes.
We had a question of the week a couple weeks ago. Oh man, this was really fun. So the question was, do you think text message marketing is effective and how have you used it to success? And I knew when Alessandra posed this question that people were going to take it the wrong way, and they did. A lot of people said, if someone just cold reached out to me text
Right.
wise, I would be so mad, and I hate getting text when it. This is not about unsolicited texting because that's illegal. And so this is more about opt-in text marketing, which is something that a lot of companies do, just not necessarily a lot of authors do.
I actually had never considered doing it as an author. When I read this question, I was like, well, that is interesting. I hadn't considered that.
Right. And so Selena J. Eckert said, I have never and will never sign up to willingly receive marketing text messages. And honestly, when I'm asked about it, it sours my opinion and current mood. So no, I will never offer that to my readers. I'll stick to something not invasive that they can look at their own clock, like newsletters. So that was the prevailing opinion, but I highlighted other people's opinions in here too. Blaine Moore said, I haven't used it for books, but for other businesses, it has been very effective. Definitely has driven engagement, usually consisted of either 0 or 2 messages in a given week, and was always about what they had signed up for with no deviations.
I like that. The no deviation part.
Yes. And Heather Hadley said, I have mixed feelings. It seems invasive, although I know authors would only ever use it for people who sign up. Texts I currently get are ineffective, but so are a lot of the emails I sign up for. So I guess it depends if the content is good and if you have the right people signed up.
No, yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the last episode. The idea of finding the right readers and talking to the right people. And I think any marketing can be effective if done well and with the right person in mind.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that, we probably as an author community said, we'll never do email. And then email is a big deal. Or it's like, no, we only want free marketing. We'll never do ads. And now some people do spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on ads. So it's like, never say never, I guess.
Never say never.
You can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. So go join if you're not in there. Sell More Book Show After Party. It's not really a party. So if you're like super introverted and you're like, I don't want to join a party, don't worry.
It's like a party where some people are hiding in the corner not talking and everyone else is cool with that.
Yes, exactly.
It's that kind of party.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like a book party.
Yeah. An author party. So TradPub and AI audio is our top story. So let's get into it. Quote, HarperCollins will create AI narrated audiobooks of select foreign language backlist titles, reports Jane Friedman in her Hot Sheet newsletter, saying that text-to-speech software company 11 Labs will be used, creating each audiobook in about an hour. The new tool, called Projects, has been designed for publishers and independent authors alike to create audiobooks that would not have otherwise been created. Quote, without AI, there simply wouldn't be the time or resources to make this happen, says Maddie Staniszewski, CEO of 11 Labs. Now, every author can see their work come to life in audio. Readers can be offered more choice, and the linguistic barriers of content can be dissolved, end quote. According to Good e-Reader, HarperCollins claims to remain committed to audiobooks with real human voice actors, and that their use of AI narrators will be primarily for backlist series books in non-English markets. Quote, text-to-speech will be leveraged as a complementary tool to enable a broader number of audiobooks for backlist series books in non-English markets, leading to a more diverse selection of titles in the format and driving growth in the audiobook markets, end quote. 11 Labs claims its AI-generated voices are of a quality that is nearly indistinguishable from humans and is already being used by audiobook streaming service Storytel for its voice switcher feature, which lets readers choose various AI narrators.
Ooh.
Jen, we talked about AI. Everyone's going to freak out.
I know. We need to take like a cleansing breath before we dive in here and just be like, okay, everyone, we're okay. Yeah. We can do this.
HarperCollins says it's okay we're only using this on titles that we wouldn't have gotten audio for anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe them and their intentions?
I believe that right now they're probably maybe only using it for that with the intent to gauge how effective it is and whether it's useful and then potentially use it going forward. There's a lot of really interesting marketing speak in that. And I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
very leery personally of this is something that would never happen without us and will never happen again without this thing. Like that kind of all or nothing language is usually a red flag to me. So,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that that's their only intention, but I also am not in the camp that, all AI is bad. There are benefits. There are people who have auditory disorders or are on the spectrum, and human voices do not work for them. They can't engage with them. And so a lot of them have done better with the AI narration.
Mm.
Um, on the other hand, can it accurately translate the meaning behind a book? Even like Grammarly doesn't always capture. Like I put New Orleans slang in my book all the time, and it's like, hey, that word needs a G on the end of it. And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
No, it
So
doesn't.
yeah, I think we have to stop saying it's AI or nothing. We have to stop saying it's all good or all bad. But also we need to be open to experimenting with these and finding the benefit. Says the high positivity, naive person in the room who,
So does so it's so funny. After the whole Spotify find a way business happened, I
Yeah,
said, well, it I think this happened and it looks like maybe just a copy paste error.
right.
And then everyone was like, "You're so naive." And then it was pretty obvious afterwards that it was a copy paste error. And so
Mhm.
it's like we're so quick to judge, but us high positivity people,
I
our
know.
optimism has a place sometimes.
We definitely tend to see it like, oh, this can be so beneficial and nothing bad will ever come of this. La la la.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's good to have a little bit of both perspective, but Jen, so are there certain types of books like backlist books or translations or public domain works that the public might find more acceptable for AI audio?
I think that's a great question. I think the key to that is what the public will find acceptable because, like many things, the public has preformed opinions about AI now.
Mm,
And I don't always know how the readers feel about it because so much of this comes from the author community. But people seem to be moving into extreme camps.
yeah.
And so, is that why HarperCollins is starting with something fairly innocuous that they think the public will accept? They're like, oh, backlist translation that I wasn't going to get audio for anyway, then I'm okay with it. Probably. I mean, would I like to see some of the classics in audiobook? Full disclosure, I don't listen to audio. I have the attention span of like a very erratic hummingbird, and whatever my eyes land on, that's what I pay attention to. So audio just doesn't have a place in my world because I
Not
can't
just a
hear it.
regular hummingbird, a
No,
very
an erratic
erratic
hummingbird.
hummingbird, like a hummingbird with a processing disorder.
Yes. Really easily distracted hummingbird is what I am.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do think what they're doing is they're trying to find the safest way to make the public comfortable with something that they plan to use more widespread in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind when my Echo tells me jokes. They're kind of
No,
funny
I
sometimes.
don't
And
mind
that's an
either.
AI joke.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we use AI a lot now, and we just predictive text memes are AI as well, and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that is
Exactly.
that taking jobs? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. You got a question for me?
I do. Should self published authors wait until they can afford a narrator, wait for better AI narration services, or go for it now?
So when authors are trying to figure out how should they dip their toes into this narration one way or the other, I think that you have to remember there's no should. Becca Syme taught me that.
Hmm.
There's never something you have to do.
Right?
It's also worth considering that any tweak like this, where you tweak your catalog by having AI narrated audiobooks, or you tweak your catalog by ponying up for a human narrator, it is likely that your sales will only increase by 20 to 30% maximum. So if you're not happy with your level of sales, or 20 to 30% on top of your level of sales would not make you fulfilled, would not make you have reached your goals, then don't focus on this. Focus on making other changes, like in your craft or in your genre, that have a better chance of increasing your royalties to the point that you want them increased. Because then a change like this, 20 to 30% on top of that, would make a real impact.
Yeah, I really liked what you and Alessandra talked about. I think it was episode 526. About audio, and just it's so difficult to market right now, and the systems that use it aren't smart enough to really show you what you want. And there's just so far to go with that we hear audio is big, audio is huge, but actually does that mean it's going to equate to something big or huge for us? Those aren't the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, great point. And way to reference back to a previous episode.
Hey, go watch that episode when you're done with this one.
Ooh, keep listening. So Jen, you get a second opportunity at a first lightning sound. So here we go with the lightning round. Go for it.
I'm going to go old school. Kachiga, Kachiga, a little Lightning McQueen.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Cars 1 and Cars 3 were both solid.
Yeah, I've only seen Cars 1, and it had the little Volkswagen bug, and that took me to a weird place mentally, because I wondered what happened to regular bugs, and we cannot get off on that tangent, Brian.
Oh man, we cannot. So Jen, according to Jane Friedman's Hot Sheet newsletter, the Federal Trade Commission has just banned non-competes, which have been common in trad pub contracts for ages. Which authors do you think stand to benefit most from this decision?
So I thought that was really interesting. I actually went and read the article because I wanted to know more about that. And I think that traditional authors who either want to write in multiple genres, want to publish more quickly, or want to go hybrid, are really going to benefit from this. A lot of, maybe not the big publishing firms, but the medium publishing firms, a lot of them specialize in like one genre. And so if you're writing sci-fi fantasy over there and you have a sweet series that you want to market or workshop somewhere else, you're not always able to do that with the current agreements. And I think that could really benefit people who are maybe a little more prolific and well-known, and are able to do things more on their own terms and do so efficiently. I think they'll get a lot out of that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you.
All right. Question to me.
What do you say to authors who still say they don't need an email list?
When I talk to authors who say they don't need an email list, I really try to help them to think about the long term, because so many marketing methods are short term. So many things, even like, hey, they've had great success on Instagram Reels or TikTok. I hear that Instagram Reels is, and Instagram as a whole is now offering a tiered payment system per month, where you can get more access, which means if you're getting access on Instagram Reels now for free, you might not get as many. And TikTok, hopefully it's still around in 8 months, but we don't know. And so you have to think about, yes, this one thing is working well for me now, but I'm actively working with people who have big TikTok followings, trying to help them to get more back to their email list, because then they will still have them if something happens to the platform.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Jen.
Made that easy.
Yeah, that's great. I don't agree. So Jen, how does having an email list relate to long-term author sustainability?
Oh, it's my favorite subject. I'm gonna tweak this a little bit, and I'm going to say having an engaged email list is really beneficial to long-term author sustainability. Not the least of which is that you by default should have more successful launches and don't have to work as hard to introduce new books or new series to readers, because your readers are already there and they're waiting for you and they are eager to read what you want. But I also think there's a big like mental and emotional boost to having a strong, healthy email subscriber list where you're like, these are my people and I know what they want and they're excited about a book, so I'm excited about a book. And there's this many pre-orders and that just came from the one email I sent out. So I feel less maybe stressed out about how this is going to go. And if you properly engage your email list and you manage expectations, and you don't necessarily have that pressure of I have to write 12 books this month because I need a big long backlist. That's a lot of the people who write only one book a year can do that because they have a following, they have an engaged community, and that started for a lot of them with their email list.
Great points, Jen.
I have a question for you.
Oh my gosh.
What are some ways that you think you sustained your career in self-publishing?
So I think I've sustained my career in self-publishing through getting regular stress relief. I have gotten massages for quite some time by exercise. I've been the last year and a half have been exercising a lot more regularly, and it's made a big difference with my energy levels. It's made a big difference with my just genuine like general feelings towards the world. I'm a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit happier, and also just consistently teaching and consistently giving things to people, no matter if we're promoting something to sell or not. We always try to give value to people, and I think that that's one of the things when people are worried, well, I don't want to just say buy my book in my emails. You don't
Right.
have to. You can give people behind the scenes. You can give them a behind the scenes look at what you're doing. You
Right.
can let them in as part of the process. You can teach them things if you're in education like me. And
Mhm.
so those folks will still be excited, even if they are getting pitched to in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think you took that in an interesting direction, talking about just your physical and mental health and how
Hmm.
that helps you stay in your work and your work-life balance. That's a nice perspective on that.
Oh, well, thank you. Jen, I'm going to ask you the same question,
Oh my gosh, the
which
pressure.
is, what are some ways you think you've sustained your career in self-publishing?
I think a big thing for me is when I embraced the idea that I need to know the why behind a thing before I do a thing.
Yeah.
Um, it allows me to say no more easily to something, and and to maybe shelve some things that other people might try unsuccessfully and then become very frustrated about. I don't do that as much. Like I frequently don't get attached to things emotionally. I'm a very emotional person. I get attached to my books while I'm writing them, but as soon as they become a product, like the ability to treat them like a product and know that I need to be flexible in terms of was selling my last product worked this way, but selling this product won't necessarily work because the market has changed or
Mm.
perspective is shifting or I didn't hit the right notes with this book, right? And not becoming so emotionally invested in that a failed launch, for example, like completely defeats me or makes me hyper focus in one area. Like just kind of taking that step back and treating it like a business really helps me say no and be flexible and kind of understand the path I want to take a little bit better.
I really like that. You took
Thanks.
it in a very different direction than me, and so
I
we
know.
got some
I
good
work out
perspective
too,
there.
if that helps. I swim, and that does feel really good.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to be like me. Like you don't have to say the same thing as me. Your thing was really good. So I'm just saying.
Thanks.
Jen, I know I usually defer to the co-host on this one, but should we just ask the same question
Yeah,
to our audience here?
it's a really good question, actually.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm asking it.
All
So
right.
you noble listener, what are some ways that you think you've sustained your career in self-publishing? You can answer the question of the week over at sellmorebookshow.com or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group, which is only sort of like a party and more like a Facebook group.
Yeah. So it's a partying Facebook group.
It's a partying Facebook group.
There's disco lights and
yeah, that's the only thing that's really that I forgot about that. Jen, it's been great having you here. I think
a lot of fun.
I think people should go see you in North Carolina at Self Publishing Live and at the Author Sustainability Conference in April.
I think you can't get enough of me.
Yeah. I think that you should get all the Jen you can.
Get all the Jen you can, or find a Jen in your life and
Find a Jen in your
move
life.
in that direction.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you have any last words of wisdom or anything you want to share before we sign off here today?
Yeah, actually I do. It's been kind of running through the back of my head through this whole thing. And I would just encourage everyone to take time to establish or think about who you are and what your goals are and whether you're moving in the direction of who you are and what your goals are, because we tend to see somebody over there and they're selling, that genre and they're doing really well. And we're like, oh, I want that. But there's something about that we want. Maybe not the exact same thing. I mean, yeah, maybe we all want to be 6-figure authors, but maybe there's a message that you want to share or something that relates to how you grew up or the kind of person that you are that will change the way that you treat your author business. And I would just encourage everyone to spend some time with themselves and understand themselves a little bit better, and then maybe use that to make decisions going forward.
Well said, Jen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Of course. Yeah. I'm so glad you could come.
Yeah.
So definitely go check out Jen and her books, J.B. Lassalle on the Amazon. And then go check out the Author Sustainability Conference at authorsustainability.com. And then go see her at Self Publishing Live.
Yes.
In October.
And come introduce yourself, because I am not shy and I love to meet new people and say hello. And
you're like short like me, so you're not intimidating at all.
No, I'm not even a little bit intimidating.
No, exactly.
I'm a wee little one.
Wee little one, yeah. Well, for little Jen, I'm little Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we will be back next week with episode 529. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.